Welcome back, everyone. We're talking about Pro Tour Eldritch Moon top 10 cards today. So first, I'd like to talk about honorable mentions. They didn't quite make the cut, but were interesting to see. First is Shaman of the Forgotten Ways. Nice tech here, helps you ramp, and it was in some lists like Red-Green Ramp, Teamer Emerge, to try and ramp into Emrakuls and other big fatties faster. Not a lot to say other than that. Wretched Griff. This card is almost as good as Muldrifter, not quite, but in the format it serves a similar purpose. And it also costs 7 mana, so it triggers Causal return, which is very important. You can emerge it, so you get a 3/4 flyer pretty quick, and it also cantrips and replaces itself when it comes into play. All good things, and it's common too, so it's really good in limited formats. Starting with number 10, Selfless Spirit. This card was very important in the tournament in the fact that it could shut down other Causal returns and any other damage board wipe effects. Just shut them down right there on the spot. It also can swing battles into your favor. It allows you to attack in opportunities where you otherwise wouldn't be able to. Also, if they try to spot removal one of your best creatures, you can simply sacrifice your spirit. For example, if they try and target it with Ruinous Path, one of your tireless trackers with a few counters on it, you can save it with a Selfless Spirit. Keep getting in there with that tracker. Really good spell. I think this is going to be one of the best cards from the set. I don't know if it's better than Spell Queller. It's definitely as good, though. You need both, really, to get the best from both of them. Alright, number 9, Grim Flare. I speculated this card would be good, and it turns out it is. And not only that, but it's similar to some other creatures that we've seen in the past where, like Sylvan Advocate, you just usually want to run a 4 of if you're going to run any. And with the cards like Grapple with the Past, Vessel of Nascency, and Gather the Pack, you can get Delirium pretty quickly. Also, don't forget about Liliana. She's amazing, and her minus ability not only helps you bring creatures back, but helps you dredge your deck, fill it up. You can get Delirium really fast, usually by turn 5. About the same time you could get an Advocate with 6 lands, so it becomes a 4/5. Now, you don't have to run one or the other. You can simply run both, and they're both incredible creatures. So, just do that. Just do that. The top 3, the effect of it, though, where you get a deal damage, it has trample, so you're probably going to get at least 1 point through. And then you get to activate its ability to look at the top 3 cards of your library, put any of them into your graveyard, and the rest back on top of your library in any order. In a way, it's fixing your draws, similar to how blue can usually do that, but it's in black and green. A unique effect, not usually seen in this color combination, so it was hard to evaluate for a lot of people, but I felt it would be good. Alright, moving on to number 8. Surprisingly, Traverse the Uvenwald. This card, since you can get Delirium pretty easily, that makes it so much better. It's a tutor card, and tutors historically are incredible. This one's no different. Pay a green, go through your library, get the creature that you need, or if you need a land randomly. But generally, the way to use the card is to get a creature. That's the best way. But it's also good if it'll help you keep some hands, your opening hands, that you may not be able to keep otherwise. And this card, Grim Flare, and the next few that I want to talk about, there's a few more. They all were in the same deck, Green Black Delirium. And there were in other decks too, but there were a lot of cards in the top 10 I liked, and they're from that deck. Alright, so the next one is number 7, Ishkana Graph Widow. This creature is proving to be very useful in the format, especially with Delirium. If you don't get Delirium, it's just an overpriced creature. When it enters the battlefield, if you have Delirium, you get 3 1/2 green spider creature tokens with Reach. And it has Reach itself, so it can block an Avacyn without dying. It won't kill the Avacyn, but it won't die from blocking either. And you can also chump with your spider tokens. Also, those spiders can block some spirits like Selfless Spirit and actually kill it. You could trade all 3 spiders for a Spell Queller if you wanted and get a card back from it. But what it does is it jams up the board on the ground and in the air with all the Reach creatures. And if you need, you can use the pay 7 mana, target opponent loses 1 life for each spider you control. Haven't actually seen that happen yet, and I've watched a lot of games. Not sure how relevant it is, but it's nice to have the option. Really like this card. It's straight up Shelob from Lord of the Rings. I mean, come on. Alright, next one is number 6, and this is a combo. It's Hana Dead plus Prized Amalgam. You can't have one on the list without the other. clearly a good combo here. So the idea is you play Hana Dead, or you get Hana Dead into your graveyard through other means, whether it be dying in combat or you dredged it. So once you get it into your graveyard, you can pay 1 and 1 black, discard 2 cards, and return it to the battlefield tapped. And that'll get you another spirit token, and more importantly, it lets you discard 2 cards. So hopefully you'll have 2 prized amalgams in hand. You discard those, they go into your graveyard, and that's part of the cost. So that makes it, whenever the Hana Dead comes back, the amalgams are already in your graveyard, and they'll see each other, and so you'll get your prized amalgams back at the end of the turn. And that can be a really huge swing in your favor, getting 3 creatures essentially for the price of 1. Really like this combo. I think it's positioned okay right now, but I think its position will be a lot better post-rotation once Dragons and Origins rotates. Alright, on to number 5, and it's none other than Tamio, Field Researcher. This card was really interesting. LSV really put this card on the map for me. In round 13, game 2, he played against Reed Duke, and it was a back and forth battle. It was really fun to watch, and he ended up top decking Tamio and tapped down Emrakul and beat Reed that way. I think that locked him into top 8. It was such a flavor win too. So, oh man, such a great Pro Tour. Alright, so let's take a look at the abilities here. +1, you get to choose up to 2 target creatures until your next turn. Whenever either of those creatures deals combat damage, you draw a card. Notice it doesn't say target opponent creatures, so you can even target your own creatures on this and get in there, get some damage in, draw some cards. Can be a huge tempo swing. Her minus ability lets you tap up to 2 target non-land permanents, and they don't untap during their controller's next untap step. Obviously, you use that to lock down your opponent's creatures and get in there. But you can also lock down other permanents if you need. It's not extremely relevant right now in Standard. Alright, in the ultimate, -7, draw 3 cards, and you get an emblem. You may cast non-land cards from your hand without paying their mana costs. So she gives you Omniscience. That's a pretty cool emblem. Free spells are always fun. One downside, though, I mean, it's a good thing. She costs 4 mana. 4 mana planeswalkers are historically good, but the fact that she's 4 mana means she can be hit with Spell Queller. So just watch out for that. Otherwise, I mean, pretty solid planeswalker. All right, on to number 4. Another combo here. I've talked a lot about this one in the video series. But you have Causal Return and Grapple with the Past. And now Grapple with the Past is probably the best of the 3, but you could replace that with Gather the Pack or Vessel of Nascency. They all 3 serve the same function here, and that's to put cards into your graveyard and then get something back, potentially, or get something out of your library. So anyways, you put Causal Return into your graveyard via Grapple with the Past, and then later on you play an Eldrazi that costs 7, like Wretched Griff or Emrakul. You know, there's a lot of options. Like Deep Fiend Elder is another good one. Play the Eldrazi, and it flashes back Causal Return. You deal 5 damage to everything on the board, and it's super fantastic. A little bit upsetting to the opponent when they see that happen. A little backbreaking, usually. Love Causal Return, love Grapple with the Past. Glad to see that it's having some success. Alright, on to number 3. We have Elder Deep Fiend. Now this Eldrazi Octopus is crazy. Mainly because you can flash it in at the end of your opponent's turn, get in for 5. If you draw another Elder Deep Fiend, pass the turn, during their upkeep, play another Deep Fiend, tap down their mana. Keeps doing that over and over, and then you're locking down their mana and you're building your board, and it's 5 power, so that by itself is a 4-turn clock. If you get 2 in play, it's a 2-turn clock. Basic math there. Really great creature. Like this one a lot. I think it's going to be a staple in Standard until it rotates out, or you know, I guess that would depend upon what's in Kaladesh, but this is definitely one to keep an eye on and watch out for it. Expect the Elder Deep Fiend. They will have it. If they're running a deck that can fit it, it's going to be in there. Alright, on to number 2. It's none other than Emrakul, the Promised End herself. Some have said that this is the second best Eldrazi creature ever. It's been suggested, and I'm inclined to agree. This card is crazy. It costs 13 mana. That's a nice little flavor win. Little fun thing they do there. 13 mana, 13 power, 13 toughness. And what makes this card ridiculous is it costs 1 less to cast for each card type among cards in your graveyard. And you can have, I believe in Standard there's up to 7 types. Tribal's not there. And in older formats you can have more types. So this could potentially be very cheap, and you can play it very quickly. when you do play it or when you cast it, you don't even have to successfully cast it. When you cast it, you get the Mindslaver trigger and gain control of target opponent during that player's next turn. To make the card fair, the opponent gets an extra turn after that. It's not just a complete blowout, but it's still really devastating, and it should win the game most of the time. And unless they've got the answer or in top deck mode or just getting what they need, this generally will be good enough because you can play out all the stuff in their hand and attack with all their creatures into your creatures. It also has flying and trample, so there's no other creature like this that's 13/13 flying trample. This is as big as they come with those abilities, and that's what's unique about the card. Made it a little hard to evaluate for some people, I think. Again, I thought this one was great. I love the Eldrazi. I know a lot of people hate them. I love them. I think they're the perfect bad guy. They're unbeatable, but they're not completely unstoppable. They have some weaknesses. All right, and the last ability on it is protection from instants, and that blanks a lot of the removal, limits the spells you can use to even kill it. That's not really where you want to be when your opponent has Emrakul in play, just scrambling to find a spell that is a non-instant that can kill it or help you out. This is one of my favorite cards from the set, obviously. It's in the top 3, it's number 2. I love this. I love Emrakul. All right, number 1, probably not surprising to anyone, Liliana the Last Hope. Looks like 3-drop Lilianas are overpowered. No. Okay, so maybe not overpowered, but it sure feels like that sometimes, especially when she ultimates. And for some reason, there were quite a few ultimates for Liliana in the Pro Tour. I think in this Pro Tour there were more ultimates just from Liliana than in all the other Pro Tours I've seen from all Planeswalkers. It seems to be really easy, and it's partly due to the color. She's black, so that naturally has a lot of removal, and you can protect her pretty well. But her +1 ability also protects her. There's so many creatures that kills outright, and so many that it blanks because it'll give them 0 power, like Sylvan Advocate, 0 power, and it can just kill like Selfless Spirit. It blanks Spell Queller. Doesn't kill it, but makes it a 0/1 flying spirit. Not very scary. Alright, and then the minus ability, you can build decks around this, as we've seen. Minus, dredge some stuff. So there are things that you can use with it, and the second half of that ability is you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. It lets you dredge yourself, it helps you get cards back, keep the battle going, lets you keep adding fuel to the fire. Alright, so the ultimate here, -7. You get an emblem with, at the beginning of your end step, put X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is 2 plus the number of zombies you control. This is X plus 2. So, yeah. It gets out of hand really fast. Hordes of zombies. We saw it numerous times in the tournament. For example, Lucas Blowhon beat Owen Turtenwald in the finals, game 2, with the Liliana Ultimate. Owen had Emrakul at one point during that game and then got swarmed with zombies, so that was a flavor win. And Lucas also beat Samuel Pardee in the semifinals, game 1, doing the exact same thing. That swarm of zombies. Ugh. Great card, great Planeswalker. There were some questions if it would be good. I thought this would be great. I was confused why everybody was saying it was bad. Well, not everybody. I don't know why. Incredible Planeswalker, cost 3, 3 loyalty. All the abilities are super relevant. Yeah, hopefully you were lucky enough to get your copies. I wasn't lucky enough to get any, and I bought 3 boxes. Total whiff on Liliana's. But hey, that happens, you know. That's why you buy singles if you're looking for a particular card. I just enjoy opening packs, you know. It's fine. We'll get our Lilianas eventually. So yeah, that was the top 10 cards. Hope everybody enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next time.